Hi everyone, I'm Ali and welcome to the channel. Have you ever wondered how you might be able to start up a small business for a market or maybe even for online selling for around $100 thereabouts? Then stick around and watch the video. If you are a regular viewer of the channel, then you might have seen a previous video of mine where we looked at how you can create wax seals as a business. And I went into TEMU and we had a look at whether or not you could actually set this business up for around about the $100 mark. So if you haven't seen that video, make sure you check out the link here above. In today's video, I'm going to do a similar thing, only this time I'm going to see whether or not you might be able to set up a very small starter for a polymer clay earring business using TEMU as the source of the materials that you need in order to get this business going. So this is just for a little bit of fun, just to see what you can actually get. And I really do think that using a few smaller items and starting your business off small and then looking at how you might scale it up using some materials like this that you can get quite cheaply on this website, it's a pretty good idea to get started into something. You never know where it might lead you. So let's have some fun today. I'll jump over onto TEMU and take a look and see what you might be able to get for around approximately $100 to start up this business. And then later in the video, I'll show you some of the materials that I have purchased in the past from TEMU and what they look like, just to give you a guide, just in case you are wanting to fill a cart with items and you really want to sort of try or see before you buy. I think that's pretty wise as well. So let's go. So let's go exploring for some polymer earring materials to begin our polymer earring store. So the first thing that we are going to require would be some polymer clay. You are able to pick up lots of polymer clay collections, as you can see here with these pictures. I would strongly suggest making this an additional purchase as part of your business setup and purchase these clays through a local dealer. Get yourself some Sculpey, go to Spotlight or go to Officeworks, or if you have another art store that's local, go there and grab yourself a couple of colours that you think you'd like to start. The reason why I say this is that these clays, they are very, very soft. They're very, very sticky. And whilst they might work, it's very hard to know by looking at this which ones may be better than others. The clay that I bought from TEMU was particularly sticky. Couldn't use it and I had to toss it. So that's my recommendation about the clay itself. Now, you might be able to find a really cheap lot, such as this one here, that you'd like to try out for $9. So for the purposes of this video, or even here, the 32 colors looks good. So for the purposes of this video, I am going to put it in the cart, but I highly recommend that you go and get maybe, several colors at your local dealer, as I suggested. So let's just pop it in the cart. So we have our polymer clay. To be able to create with our polymer clay, we need polymer clay tools. And you want to have a roller, you want to have a stainless steel kind of ruler to do some cutting. You want a piece of acrylic that you can do smaller pieces on, some molding. And this set here, even though I'm not sort of scrolling down any further, this set seems to have a bit of everything. So let's just have a quick look at this, because here in this set you've got all your wooden tools, you've got them again in plastic with some different types, you've got these ones here with some silicone tip at the other end, and you also have these larger ones. So I'll be able to show you what these ones look like. Obviously you've got the acrylic, you've got your steel rulers for cutting, and you have this roller. So for $14, this is a pretty good set. If it's 20 piece, you've got 30 piece or the 33. So again, you want to double check and see what's in each one. So I wonder if it tells you. Because to get all of them, if you're really serious about getting started, This is a terrific kit to get started, but I'm not sure. That must be that's the 20 piece. That's the 30 piece. And that's the 33 piece. I'm actually going to put that in the cart. Okay, so that's the tools. Now if we're going to be making earrings, then we need to get some earring making supplies as well. And you can get yourself these earring posts and also these earring hooks in 2 colors. And there are lots of different styles there. So there's 100, let's make it really simple. So we can get these 150, 300 pieces for $2.15. So if we just want gold and silver, let's go back to this one here. This is 600 pieces. Earring making kit, jump rings, silvery and golden. So you get both. So you're getting the little jump rings, you're getting the backings. That's plenty of earrings. So I'm going to add that in now. And then we need some posts, so earring posts. And here we have 300 pieces of the posts, so let's add that in. Okay, so far we're at $51. We've got clay, we've got all the tools that we need, we've got the earring posts. Now when you create your earrings, you're going to want to package them. So let's go to earring packaging. And you have lovely options here. You've got these ones here that actually have handmade with love written on them. You could just go for a plain black, or you might be more fond of the craft options. And these will take both types of earrings. I think that I'd like to go with just the plain option on these ones without having any lettering or anything like that on them. So here we go, we've got 100 pieces. It's a quick look. Have a look at some of the pictures. Okay, these look pretty good. I'm going to add those. And then, did that add? No, go try again. That did. And also, earring packaging, what's the boxes like? Alright, so you can get a 50 pack of boxes and have them in little boxes if you wanted to do that, or dress the boxes up. So there's some great options here. Well, I like these too. And here you can get a 50 piece set for $17 or a 20 piece set for $10. So these would look lovely too if you wanted to, if you didn't want to have them on display, for example, using these over here, you could put them into boxes, show them online and sell if you're selling online. So I guess it depends whether you're going online or you're going market. This would still be a really nice way to present those earrings at market. So let's see, let's add those in anyway. Now when it comes to the earrings, this is better for the environment than the plastic too, I have to say. So when it comes to the earrings, you might want to seal the earrings. There's a couple of different ways that you can do that. People sometimes use Mod Podge, or the other way to do that is resin. So let's have a look at resin supplies and accessories. So sometimes you can get a little resin kit and you can paint a little bit of resin over the top of the earrings. So let's see if we can get a cheap resin kit. Okay, so here we even get a little bit more if you wanted to have a little bit of an experiment with some other options for jewelry making. So here we have a kit for $30. So in this kit you're getting the UV resin, you're getting the UV light, you're getting some stickers, a mold, the stirring cup. You're also getting some fixtures here, the tape if you're looking at doing these with resin inside of them, some cords, dried flowers, glitter. I mean, this is a great kit for $30, so let's add that to our cart, and that takes us up to $95. Now I think our last shop was about $110, wasn't it? So let's say approximately $100, because the other thing that you can get here too are polymer molds, and there are lots of little ones that you can purchase to get started. So if you had an idea for a particular set of earrings, so for example, if you wanted to do floral molds, or there's little molds here with little turtles, there's so many. I mean, look at these. You've got the little paws, little hedgehogs, mushrooms, owls, and little foxes. So for $8 you get all of those molds, and then you can create these earrings. So let's just add that. That puts us over to 103. And let's go back and have another look at some others. So we did get all of those, didn't we? 6-piece, yep. Got to check that with TEMU, make sure that you're getting everything that's pictured. There's so many different choices, it's so cool. Look at these little foxes, aren't they gorgeous? So this is really personal preference, and I guess it also comes down to the colours. So for example, if I come back over here and just into cart, so the colours that you'd need here would be your oranges and browns. So you could get the primary colours and kind of mix these yourself. I'm just thinking if you're going to go and get your clay independently, you might do some pre-planning as you're doing your shop, and make sure that you're looking for colours that are going to suit some of the molds that you've decided to get, and help save a little bit of money as you get started as well. So just scrolling down. I think flowers can be sometimes popular as well, so let's just, sorry about that, go up to flower polymer molds. Okay, these are quite cute. Look at these, and that's another little set for $8. Right, this little set looks pretty good. Let's have a look at this one. So again, you could put your jump rings on these, and you could just have the tops of the flowers. You could do different variations of these, just have the daisies with the jump rings, and these is a pretty good price for $6.56. So let's say we've got B 2-piece, A 2 pieces. I'm not sure what is the difference between each. Oh, I think it might be the different styles. So you might only be getting one of those styles. All right, it's not really telling you about that. Let's keep going. Here's another one. There's $3. These are pretty. I quite like these ones here. They look quite pretty. So you've got your basic design, you'd have 2 of those, and then the petals on the top. I think they would look really lovely. I'm going to add those. I mean, the options here are endless. They're obviously personal choice, things that you think might sell, but a floral set should work really well. You can use these molds. I just find them a little bit difficult to use. That's just me though, of course. All right, what are we up to? 106. Let's just go one more screen. Oh, these look nice too. All right, let's just add those in. And I think we've gone over. Yes, we have. But you know what? Let's just go to cart, because in this we can make these in a whole variety of colors. The same here. Potentially you could keep or get rid of these. In fact, they're autumn themed Halloween, so maybe if we got rid of those, right, that gets us down to 103, and we just start with some floral ones. That could work. And again, depending on whether or not you're doing the gift boxes or whether you just want to do the earring displays, that might be something that you change up there. Plus we've got the resin kits. There's quite a bit in here for the $103. So I know I got rid of the little autumn one, but for $103 you can certainly get started at making some earrings and sort of test the waters and not have gone absolutely broke. I mean, it's not a bad beginning business cost. So I'm obviously not going to put this order through. This was just to show you what potentially you could purchase. But I'm going to show you some of these little molds that I have purchased from TEMU, along with what this resin kit looks like, and also the earring findings and tools. And we'll do that in the next part of the video. And then we might make a set of earrings using one of the molds that I have purchased in the past. What I will do is just to show you a past order that I have put in and what I did actually purchase. So I did get a set of, discontinued, but these were the clay cutters. And to be honest, I haven't really used them much at all. I bought this really cute octopus shaped cutter for making polymer earrings. The Highland cow, I absolutely love this one. I purchased some of these for more resin earrings to do. I was going to have an experiment with that, which I haven't done yet. Same with these. A little pendant casting mold. Also this bookmark mold. So this is more about the resin with the kitten charms. And then a clay extrusion tool, which works well, except the sticky TEMU clay got caught in there. The boho daisy flower, little bear, very cute. That's the resin kit. Purchased that for $32 last time, so it's still on value. Got some jewelry packaging products. I did end up getting these shaped cutter blades, but that's come in the one kit that we put into the cart today. And this set, which I think is really lovely as well. You have lots of different options for lots of different flowers. So as you can see, there are a variety of different ones that you can get. You can check the prices there. They obviously vary depending on when it is that you're getting on TEMU, if they've run out, etc, etc. But they are some of the products that I'll be able to show you next. Alright everyone, I've got things laid out here on the table, so let's go through a few of these items. I'm using a new camera at the moment, so sorry if it's a little bit off. Just trying to work out which camera might be the best for some of my overhead filming. So first of all, this was not in the cart, but this is what the shapes mix looks like. So if you see this advertised on TEMU, these are really quite large. You get a whole heap of them here. And you could use these for a variety of different projects. So I've just put them from the bag that they came in into this plastic tub. This did not come with them, and this is where I'm keeping them. I also purchased some of these hole punches as well. They're a whole lot and they vary, so that's what they look like. I know these weren't included in the original video, but I thought you would like to be seeing a few different items if you're heading down this track. So the next item are these cutters. Now these came in with the tools. They did come in this little container, and there were two of them, and they are a little bit flimsy. I ended up getting the straight one. I don't know where it's gone to, but I ended up getting the Fiskars ones from Officeworks, so I have gone ahead and spent a little bit of money, but remember, I'm just telling you how you might begin. I found the Fiskars ones to be a bit better. They've got some handholds there. There's 3 of them in that set. They're a little bit more expensive, but these were good for any flexible edges, or also the straight edge. There was a straight edge one in there. I'm not sure where it's gone. Now, in terms of clay, this clay came from Spotlight, and it's a no-named brand of clay which you bake for at 130 for 15 minutes, depending on the thickness, of course. But other brands that you might go to are these well-known ones like TEMU, for example. The other one is the Sculpey range. So I've got some transparent one here, the Sculpey oven baked clay. You can get it in big blocks like this. It's a little bit more expensive. It might last you a long time, or depending on how big your project is. So these brands I'd highly recommend because they are specifically made. They are more expensive, of course. But if you're starting out, something like this from Kmart or Spotlight might do. Just be aware that these do get really sticky as well. So if you are conditioning the clay and you go a little bit too far, it will start to stick to some tools, particularly the punches and some of the cutters as well. So just make note of that. Right, so let's talk other tools, and I can move these out of the way. The roller that comes with the other set of tools is a clear one. Mine's gone a bit missing. I've got it all in a box, but I couldn't find all the bits and pieces. These are the other tools that have got the spheres at either end, so you can help for making shapes or things like leaves or flower petals. So you do have a range of those. I've found 4 of mine. And then these other wooden ones come with a smaller tip at each end for the same reason, for that really finer detail. So if you're wanting to put details onto leaves, that kind of stuff. And these plastic tools, they're okay. But investing in some of the wooden tools, highly recommend that. My other wooden tools that I got in the kit, they're in with my air dry clay. So that gives you an idea of the tools. They're pretty good. All right. Now, I did mention resin. So if you were to get the resin kit, and I'll just show you that here. So this was the resin kit. And it had all of the different elements in there. I'm using this as a storage box for other things, but I pulled what I could out of this, from this kit to show you today. So in that kit, you get this little USB UV lamp. So it comes with little legs, and then you can open those up. There we go. Pop it on your desk, and then that gives you the light for sealing of the resin. The thing I can tell you about resin, just as a bit of a handy tip, is that sometimes the materials within the resin will settle at the bottom, so giving this a really good shake for about 5 minutes, just sort of rocking it backwards and forwards, helps to mix all of it together again, so it will work better. Otherwise you'll end up with sort of like a runny, sticky UV. So those 2 items were absolutely in the kit. The other things that were in this kit were this green tape. Now this tape is used for placing down, and then you would use something like this, which isn't in the kit, but that's also one of the orders that I showed you that I had. You'd put that on top, and then you can pour the resin into the sections, and it won't run all the way around the bottom. So that is the tape that comes in the kit. The other things that came in that kit were these. So you get a whole range of different pieces. Again, they're used with the green tape, and you can fill these in with resin, and you can add things into the resin to make them pretty. So there was a whole bunch of these different shapes that came within the resin kit for you to try and experiment with. So that's really cool that you have those things, so you can start making a few different pendants and what have you. Also in that kit you had a few findings, so they are the straight back earring findings. There's some pieces there for creating little key rings, I guess. These are the eye jewellery findings that you'd need to push into your clay. So you need a pair of pliers and cut them off, because you might not need all of that piece of wire. And then you can add your jump rings, and then you can add one of these. So you put a jump ring in between, and that way you can make your earrings. There's some rings there. There's a couple there. There's another one there. You can add something else to the top of it with polymer clay.
another keychain. Okay, some clips if you wanted to make a hairband. So there was quite a few different pieces that came in that. These were the black cords for making necklaces. So you get a few of those in that kit. And I believe that this elasticated wire came in there as well. So all for making all different pieces of jewellery. And again, I can't say that this one came in there. I might have got that from Spotlight, but that's just a clear elastic. And a silver one as well, so silver wire there. Now that wasn't all, there was more. And there was a little silicone cup that you can use for putting in and mixing in items to your resin that you could then pour into those different molds. And those items could be something like this. So these are the little dried flowers that come. So you could sprinkle little flowers into that, or use these leaves and cut them up. So I haven't actually opened those yet. Or in the kit, which again I put into a different container, you've got these little worded messages that you could put on the pendant. So you'd put in a little bit of, maybe in one of the open ones. So say for instance it's the heart. You might put that on some green tape. You might put a bit of resin in there. You might add one of these little messages inside of it and put some dried flowers around the outside of that. And then put more resin on the top. Again, we're getting away from the polymer clay, but like I said, the resin could come in really handy for the polymer stuff, and you could also use polymer clay for other pieces of jewellery just as a bit of a practice. You can also use polymer clay inside of these too. So if you put those down and you press your clay in, you can paint up the clay, you can do fun things with that, and then you might pop a little bit of resin on the back to hold it in, and also over the top to give it a nice shine. So these can be used with your polymer clay as well. In that jewellery resin kit, we're giving glitter. There's all different types in here. So these all came with it. These aren't mine. So there was quite a selection there of these little bars of glitter and chunky glitter pieces and flecks. So all of that came in that kit. So for $30, I thought that was really, really good value. So you may or may not agree with me, but I thought that was pretty damn good. All right, let's put that to the side. Now, when it comes to making jewellery, this was the other thing that I had in the cart, and that was the hooks for creating the earrings. So this is how they come. So you get gold, you get silver, you get the jump rings to go with those, you get the backs to put on the back of those earrings, and there was 2 packets of those. And these might have been an extra, but these come in handy too. So these are just little pieces that you can poke into the jewellery. You can screw into the polymer clay. Oops, I can't hold on to it. And it just gives you something to attach your jump ring to, and then you can attach your piece of jewellery, your hooks to. These other 2 containers, these did come from TEMU, so I ordered some extra ones of jump rings, particularly these bits here. There were some little hooks. So these were just an additional purchase, and they really weren't that expensive. So they're going to come in handy as well down the track. The other thing I spoke to you about in the video was this clay extruder. So that's what that looks like. And you basically wind off the end, and it comes with a ton of these. These aren't all of them. There's still a few more in my container there. But you get these pieces, and you're able to pick one that you would like, obviously. Pop it into the inside there, screw that back on, and up this end you would place your polymer clay in here, and then you would push it down. And if you can't get it all the way down, depending on if you've got a lot in there, you'd only put it like this, and then you just wind this part down. But anyway, I'll push this all the way down because there's nothing in there. You wind that up and then you start pushing that down. And obviously it comes at the end, a bit like when you're decorating cakes and that kind of thing. Although this isn't a cake decorator. All right, now moving then into some of the cutters that you can get. These are fantastic. I really love. They come in these little containers, so they're easily stored. They're not going to go everywhere. And this is the Highland Cow, which I have promised my granddaughter we're going to make when she comes around later today. So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'll keep that one out. This is the octopus that I showed you in my other order. Now, if you are punching with these, it might be a good idea to, once you've got your polymer clay conditioned and flat, put a little bit of Glad wrap over the top of it and then push these down into the clay. It'll prevent it from kind of sticking, because these are very intricate little cuts and the clay can sometimes get stuck. So that is a bit of a tip to make sure that you can get the clay out of your little cutters. This is the teddy bear. Another thing that you can do is cut this from 2 separate pieces of clay and then swap out the chunks with your knife if you cut it out really carefully. So you can have a different coloured belly, I guess, in the bear and that kind of thing. This was one that I didn't show you, but it's got a whole lot of little cake bits. So we have a piece of bread, we have a croissant, a cupcake, a loaf of bread, jelly, some bread rolls, and I'm guessing that that one might be some sort of pastry. I can't remember. So it's always, I always save the pictures as well. So when I am shopping on TEMU, there'll be a picture in the description that'll show you how these look. I always like to print one of those out so that I can keep it with the kit. You know what you can make. And these were the flower ones. So you've got different shaped flowers. Oh, I did get that one, the daisy. There we go. And for these 5 flowers in that kit, these were the different petals that go with them. So these are quite small, but they work really well. As long as you use a little bit of Glad wrap, I find that, like I said, works really, really well. And the type of clay that you're using also makes a big difference. This kind of gives you a little bit of a heads up as to what you might need. If I think about extra things that you might need, definitely the straight edge, which comes with your kit, but you might want to purchase something a little bit more than that. The other thing that you might really wish that you had would be some of this. This is liquid Sculpey. This is a bit more expensive. It's liquid polymer clay, but for adding really small pieces to large pieces of clay, this could come in really handy down the track for you if you're heading to wanting to make lots of intricate pieces of polymer clay jewellery. And I think that that pretty much does it. The other, if you do start getting into it a lot as well, you might want to upgrade the UV lamp. So this one, you know, it does the job, but it might be something that you might want to get something a little bit bigger. You can get them and have the tray in the middle. So I'll show you what one would look like. For example, let's get it out of the box. This was a bit of an upgrade. So this is an isotoy. You can see it's got a lot more lights there. It also has a 2, a 3, and a 5-minute setting, which comes up on the screen. It also comes with a PowerPoint, so you don't have to use USB all the time. And a little tray that slides in into the middle, so you can get the light happening on either side. You can use this singly, but having it connected, it gets the UV light shining on either side of your project. And this one was on Amazon for about $40. But like I said, you don't need this straight away. This would suffice for a start, keeping your costs down nice and low. Right, I've gone through all of that really, really quickly. So I'm just going to go ahead and tidy this up now. This has become a very long video, so I think I might share with you the earrings that I make in the next video, so make sure you look out for that later in the week.
Thanks for watching the video today, everyone. I hope that was a little bit of fun seeing as to how you might be able to purchase some items to create a small business for polymer clay earrings. If you enjoy what I do, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe. On this channel I show a lot of different craft tutorials. I also share a little bit about how to make some money online and also some arty crafty stuff that I'm doing in my craft room. Bit of a range of everything. Happy crafting and creating, and I will see you in the next video.